Ladies and gentlemen, we are back and we are on video number 4. Video number 4 is actually the last video in this series of how to finance your food truck videos that we've been doing here. This video is a very, very important one because I'm going to break down the route that a lot of you probably will go, and that is through private investment through an investor. And we're also going to talk about SBA loans. But the majority of this video is going to be breaking down the psychology and the process of getting a private investor to invest in you and what you need to show that investor of you to get them to invest. All right, so let's get right into it. And I mentioned this on a previous video, but I'm going to mention it. Well, in that video, I said that I would go deeper into it in a later video. Well, now's the time. Where a lot of people go wrong when they're trying to bring a investor onto their team to help them either start their business or get their business to grow is they make the pitch about them. And you need to do the complete opposite. You need to make the pitch about the investor. So what does that mean? That means that you don't want to be in that pitch meeting talking about, oh, if you invest in my company, here's what it's going to do for the business. Here's what it's going to do for my family, for me. This has been my dream. You know, this will change the direction of our family. And that's not what you want to be talking about. That's all well and good, and that's all nice. And the investor will say, you know, I hope that happens for you, and that all sounds great. But you need to be talking about, here's what your investment of X amount of dollars is going to get you back in return, be it quarterly, be it at exit, be it annually, whatever time frame you talk about. Here's what your investment of X amount of dollars is going to get back to you. That's really all they want to hear at the end of the day, because they're putting up a lot of risk by giving you even $1,000. Investing is a risky business. You know, it's super saturated these days, and it doesn't seem as risky as what it truly is, because it's just a household name. And then you got shows like Shark Tank, and you got all these other shows that are on TV, and it makes it seem a lot less risky than what it really is. But it is a big risk because they're betting on you. 80%, or I'm not even gonna put a percentage on it. A large percentage of the decision to invest in your business is they're investing in you. Not necessarily because you have this big, huge, unique idea that's gonna take off and take over the world. They think that you have the ability to do what you say you're gonna do, and then I can get the return back on the money that I'm giving you for the percentage that we agreed on. This is why when you go into these sort of pitch meetings like this, you knowing your numbers is very, very, very important. They're going to look at your numbers and they're going to break down if what you're saying matches what's on that paper or what's on that spreadsheet about the possibility of your business. Once again, I'm going to repeat this. Do not make the pitch meeting about you. Make the pitch meeting about the investor, how your business is going to give the investor the return they're looking for. Every investor is different. You need to understand who you're pitching to. If you have to research these people, research these hedge funds or whoever it is. You have to do your research, understand what type of investments they invest in, how they like to structure their investments. You pitch towards that, but you need to be pitching the benefits that this will give them, not the benefits that it will give you, your family, your kids, your anything. You pitch to them and what they want to hear. Now, when I say what they want to hear, I'm not saying go in there and lie and manipulate. I'm saying certain people invest certain ways and certain people invest in certain things. So you need to make sure that you're talking to the right investor who will invest in the things that you're talking about. Now, another part to this too is after you get the conversation started, and let's say that you get from the starting point through the actual ask, and now you're talking about what type of return they're going to get, you're going to have to come up with some sort of equity percentage that this investor is going to get in the company for the money that they're giving you. If you're a startup, you don't have any value because you haven't sold anything yet. If you're already in business, you have some sort of value that they can look at and mathematically put together and then make an investment based off of that. But if you're a startup, you don't have any value. So if they're going to give you any money, you may have to give up more equity percentage than you would have if you weren't a startup, simply because they're taking a higher risk on you because you haven't even gotten into business yet. Investors feel a lot safer about existing companies because they can go back and look at their track record. But if you're a startup, you have no track record. They're completely walking into a gray area here, and they're really, really investing in you more than anything else, like I said before. Now, with that being said, you're talking to somebody you personally know. You know who they are and their integrity how they do business. If you're talking to somebody who you don't know these things. So I say that to say somebody can look at you who's a shark, know that you know nothing about investment, or you know a little bit about investment, or you know a lot about investment, but you're in a position where you need this money really bad and they'll try to take advantage of you through equity. So, just look out for that. Some people, I'm not saying this is happens in every conversation. I'm just saying there are people out there who do that. But there are also people out there who do business with integrity, and they'll look at you straight up and down, and you can talk about the numbers, and you both have a fair deal walking away where you both feel good about it. You both can wake up the next morning and understand that you're in business together and try to work towards all the dreams and aspirations you've ever had. But watch out for those who you know it in your gut when you hear it. Don't be in a position where you know you need the money, so you're taking anything anybody offers up, and then you don't own your company anymore. In a perfect scenario, not only will that person invest in you, but they'll also mentor you. So, as a part of your pitch, ask, will you mentor me during this process? Because those people who have the money enough to invest, they didn't get there because they don't know what they're doing or they're dumb. Ask them if they will mentor you and help you along the way if you have any questions. That'll actually make them feel a lot more comfortable about investing in you or giving you any money, because you're coachable and you're open to suggestions and you're open to advice, versus somebody who's just taking the money and they don't want to be talked to, they don't want to be contacted, they just want to do their own thing. Don't let that ego set you back, because trust me, they can see that in you, and they're when they're looking at you and they're listening to you, a part of what they're thinking is this person going to be easy to work with or hard to work with? And they're making a judgment based off that too. It's not just about how good the business idea is about that. They're looking at, are you actually going to be a good partner to work with? Because you're going to work together on some level. If you get to the goal line of the pitch and the conversations and however many meetings you need to have, make sure that you have your business structure set up. If you're going to run through an LLC or S corp, however you're going to do it, make sure you have that set up. Make sure you have your business bank account set up, because if you get to that point and you ask that investor to write you a check or a cashier's check out in your personal name, those are red flags. The check needs to be written out to the actual business that they're investing in. If you don't have that in place, it's going to be a red flag and it can kill the deal, because you need these people to trust you. And a part of being trusted is having all your ducks in a row in preparation for this moment. And as I mentioned a few minutes ago or a few seconds ago, you're going to be working together on some sort of level. So you need to discuss what level will that be. You need to openly say, do you want to be just a silent investor where we don't talk, or we talk quarterly or monthly or annually, or are you going to be an active investor where you want to be a decision maker based on your percentage of equity? This is very, very, very important, because you don't want somebody coming in later stepping in when you didn't plan on certain things. You don't want people to overstep, or you don't want them to not be available when they said they would be available. Everything needs to be clear, understood at the very beginning. If this even needs to be put on paper, put it on paper, but everything needs to be out in the air, because you don't want to have arguments later, and then that never ends well. Like, people don't start arguing about business and then all of a sudden they run off hand to hand into the roses. It usually is the complete opposite. Once you start arguing, it doesn't stop. So you need to discuss, how's this partnership going to work as you're talking about the actual partnership. Okay, so that's pretty much all of it for private investors. It's more about the conversation. It's more about the details and explaining yourself and selling yourself, more than it is like some of the other videos where it was qualification, this and that. If you go through all the previous videos and you do all that work, when you go sit down with a private investor, you're going to look really good, because you look like you gave it a lot of thought, a lot of time, a lot of strategy, and everything into it. You just need that investment to get over the hump. So let's talk about the SBA now. Now, one big thing that a lot of people don't realize when it comes to the SBA is how many resources they have available for you as a business owner. And I mean through the gamut. The SBA is not there just as a bank. The SBA is set up for you to be successful as a small business. So I know on this video we're here to talk about the financing part of the SBA, but I would strongly encourage you to go to SBA.gov, look at all the resources that they have there, and take advantage of those. I mean, literally to the point where there are resources there that if you go through them, it gets you a higher chance of approval for funding than if you don't. And the reason why is because they know what kind of help that they provide. And if you go through those and, I don't know if they grade you or give you certifications or however, I don't know how, it's spelled out. But if you go through those things, they see that and they know that, and you can tell them that, and they know that the information that they give you is good. So it gets you a higher chance of funding than it would be if you didn't. So go to SBA.gov, look at that stuff, take as much as you can, use as much as you can, because they're there to help. Now, as far as funding goes, I would say 20 years ago, maybe even less than that, the SBA would deal with you directly about your application, your business, everything that's associated with that. But because of the influx of calls and, whatever else, they actually refer you to go through the bank now. Why are they referring you through the bank? Well, the bank's gonna be there to filter you through their filters, and then once you get through all that, then you can go over there to them, and they know you're more of a solid prospect, quote unquote, than you are back in the day when they had to filter you, and then they had to deal with you after the filter. It saves time for them, saves a bunch of workload for them, saves a bunch of labor, the whole thing. The bank can possibly do business or get a new account through you, going through them first and then referring you over to the business. So it kind of works hand in hand. It's not necessarily the most fun experience for you, because if you go back to the previous video when I talked about bank loans, well, it's kind of the same thing plus some added on stuff that the SBA wants you to qualify for. And to be completely honest with you, the bank uses the SBA as first priority for you to qualify than they will necessarily for their money, because they know the SBA has a certain guarantee of repayment, if you will. If your loan goes bad, they know that that's guaranteed through the SBA, so the bank's money is going to be covered. So they're going to send you that way anyway. So once again, I would refer you to SBA.gov, because sometimes their qualifications can be a moving target, and I can record and say, here's what you need to do to qualify for an SBA loan, and then they change it a month from now or a year from now, depending on when you see this video. And what I say right now could be completely inaccurate. So I would advise you to go to SBA.gov or go to your local bank. I could run off some banks, but I don't know exactly where you are and what banks the SBA uses in your area. So you can probably Google it or call one of the banks and ask them, do they take SBA applications? And if they don't, they can tell you who does, and you can do it that way. But I don't want to put out the qualifications here because, like I said, they change sometimes. Credit scores can change sometimes. I mean, all kinds of stuff. So check out those resources. Those people are up to date on the information, and they can tell you exactly what you need, and then either help you apply, tell you what you need to qualify. I mean, they can do everything. So go get with your local bank, ask them what the qualifications are for an SBA loan, your amount, and they'll take it from there. All right, guys. So that's the end of this one. I really want you to take that information about the investor pitch and really look into that, because a lot of people have to pitch investors to get started in business. You don't need a credit score. You don't need a whole bunch of stuff that you need with all the other places, but you need to make sure your pitch is solid. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. Turn on notifications, like this, comment, the whole thing. If you, in all seriousness, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, because there's a lot of people that can help you. I can help you. Of course, your questions can get answered. We're here to help. Share this with somebody if you think that they need this information. Get it over to them so they can get the help they need. I'm sure they'll reciprocate in due time. So we're done with the finance part of this. We're going to get into the health department, the fire department, and all that kind of stuff, and what you need for that. That's very important. A lot of people get scared off by that, but we're going to make it easier for you. We're going to take the fear away, because after the information, you're going to be prepared. And a lot of fear comes from being unprepared. So we're going to get you past, we're going to get you up and running, and let's keep it moving in a positive direction. All right, guys, see you on the next one.